Hello everyone, thought I'd have a little bit more fun, so maybe you've seen this video, maybe not. It's on Don Exodus 2's channel. Click this button. Awesome stuff if you do. There's actually cake, he says, so go ahead and do that. Let's let this guy introduce himself.
Hi YouTubers, I am the Answers of NWO. I am making this video right before football starts.
So you know it's going to be good, especially since he's doing a rush job to not miss his favorite sport. He then goes on a tirade saying how football is awesome and you should get football in your country if you don't have it because soccer sucks. But let's move on to the real meat of his argument here. He's saying that evolution cannot cause erosion or the Grand Canyon, which is how the Grand Canyon was formed. This is his experiment. I can only assume that's a garden hose. Well, while his experiment is poorly executed, let's try to view things from his point of view, meaning this one, a global flood. Now, this flood of his, the surface of the planet covered in a lot of water because there's mountains and every single bit of land was covered according to his book of superstition. So I have here a piece of marble representing the rock of the Grand Canyon. I think the Grand Canyon is granite, but I didn't have a piece of that, so I had to use marble. Now, this isn't quite to scale, the whole quantity of water and the size of the surface and everything, but let's see the flood at work, causing a trench to appear in the rock. Nothing yet. Still nothing. Okay, I'm going to wait for 40 days and 40 nights here, and I'll be right back. And we're back, and that was a horrible special effect, but I'm on a low budget here. Unfortunately, still nothing. Now, to go a little bit into the science of erosion here, if the planet was in fact covered by water, we'd still have to answer the question of where did the water go. Now, the usual excuse is that the planet is hollow and filled with water from the remainder of the flood, which makes us ask how did the water get to the surface if the planet's hollow in the first place. But all that aside, how would a global flood create a narrow, relatively narrow trench in the Grand Canyon? It wouldn't. You see, even if there was a current that would be as sinuous as the Grand Canyon is, at the bottom of this quantity of water, it would start to carve a small trench and then need more effort to dig deeper down. Now, water doesn't apply force. It's simply the gentle rubbing over long periods of time that causes erosion. So that extra force needed for the water to go in that trench would really just carve a very gently sloping valley in the bottom of the ocean, which would cover the entire planet. So we have to ask ourselves, how did the water push down as far as it did with a straight slope on either side all the way down to a river that remains today? The answer is, of course, that it could not. What happened was simply that a river eventually, very slowly, very gradually dug down through the Grand Canyon. And it could have started wide, and as the riverbed continued to go past the water over millions of years, it slowly carved its way down, and the water became more narrow, a little bit more current, digging down and down and down and down to give you that slanted edge that the Grand Canyon has. Now, there's other reasons why it would be slanted as well, simply because as you dig down, the sides would erode from air, and that would also carve them to be a little bit wider. The deeper down you go, the less time air would have had to cause that, rain and all that stuff. So it would be narrower and narrower and narrower until you get to the river at the bottom of the Grand Canyon you have today. So that's an example of creation science with this wonderful piece of stone. Isn't that nice? Those are bubbles, by the way. Yeah. Bubbles because of the pores in the marble. And other reasons. Surface tension and all that good stuff, as Three Dog would say. Yep. Isn't science wonderful? Especially creation science. Always worth a laugh. So, let's say thank you to Garden Hose Boy for his wonderful demonstration. And I'll see you next time.